booties for black girl nerds.
I love that we are in this new era of your acting careers. We're getting a little bit older, a little more wiser, and we've given you a lot more to do. Tell me what it was like preparing. We'll start with you, Jalyn, for preparing for these roles, not just the physical kind of basketball element, but also the prose and the delivery and all of that that kind of went along with it.
Yeah, a lot of that is really breaking down the character that you're supposed to be portraying and embodying. It's, what makes him tick, what makes him angry, what's his favorite thing to do when he's bored. It's up to you, the actor, to take what you're given, and transform that, use that as manual, use that as the skeleton, but also transform that into your own, because that's what's going to make it authentic on screen. So it was a lot of just being alone and thinking about that. We call that character development, self-character development. And that's just what I did a lot. And a lot of that was, it wasn't even thinking about the character. It was just like hanging out with Amir or Derek and Sabrina. And that translated on screen as our father, son, mother, son, brother relationship. And yeah, that was a big part of the process.
How about for you, Amir? When it came to, you got a lot of the prose kind of part of it in terms of the poetry and the flow and all of that. And then we also see where you are a gifted athlete, but you also have these other passions. Talk to us about kind of combining that into your character.
I mean, I feel like it added a whole new layer to JB. He loves basketball. It's something that, he enjoys doing, he enjoys playing, but he also loves art. He also loves music. He also loves fashion. And for him, he's just at a point where he doesn't know what he wants to do, since he's so good at all these different things, and since he has a passion for all these different things, he doesn't know which one he wants to pursue. And I feel like with his storyline, you just really get to see him exploring that, while dealing, with certain issues with his brother, his parents, and his girlfriend. Yeah.
Well, I wanted to ask, Jalyn, you kind of talked about character development. Was there anything about Filthy that wasn't necessarily in the script, but when you said when you saw the character, you said, I want to make sure I put this into them?
I feel as though when you looked at the book and read about Filthy, you can see that his personality was definitely A1 and just a stand-up guy. But also what I wanted to portray through mannerisms, facial expressions, just kind of personality trait is a goofiness to him. Because while he's a jock, while he's a good basketball player and athletic and built whatever, he's also in tune with his emotions. He's also enlightened. He also hungers for knowledge. You get to see that with his grades and his poetry. But then when you add the goofiness to him, it kind of rounds him out as a person who is a little bit of everybody. And that was important to me because I have a goofy side to myself, but that's all a part of his identity and his swag and his style. Just wanting everybody to smile and laugh.
Well, as we go on, we kind of see this push and pull between the brothers. And Amir, I wanted you to talk about what is it in JB where he feels able to kind of pull away. Whereas, we see Filthy says, oh, this is so important. This is everything. This is it. And JB kind of has that confidence to be like, well, maybe not for me. What is it that you think is the motivation for that?
I would say it was probably his girlfriend. I feel like he was really nervous and really almost like afraid to pull away from his brother and try these new things. But his girlfriend kind of gave him the motivation, a little bit of a kick in the butt to be like, hey man, like, although you guys are twins, you guys aren't the same person. So, it's okay to try different things. It's okay to kind of drift off away from your brother sometimes. And yeah, I feel like that's a lot. That's a major reason why JB is so comfortable with doing that.
Well, I think you guys do a fantastic job. Thank you so much for taking a little time to talk with
Thank
us, and
you.
congrats on the show. It is really something special.
I appreciate that. Thank you.
This
Yes.
show is so sweet, and it came out of nowhere a little bit for me. And when I think about basketball shows, I'm like, I don't know, but there's such a family dynamic and a story at the heart of this. So I wanted to start with you, Sabrina. Crystal kind of had the ability to kind of just be the basketball player's wife, the basketball player's mother, that kind of thing. And we see that she goes for her own goals to be principal and to kind of carve out a niche for herself. Tell me about kind of portraying that dynamic through her character.
It was very important to portray. In my opinion, it's very important for each partner in a relationship to have their own dreams, their own goals, and be able to go after them. I truly believe in equal partnership. And so it is very important for me as Sabrina to portray a woman like this that has that balance. And I actually had talks with the writers about it and the EPs about it, because I wanted to make sure that came across. But it's also to their thank them for writing this character who has these goals and dreams. And she's able to say, you know what, I think it's about time. I've done my part. I raised my boys. I mean, I'm not done, but at least they're older now, and I could kind of go after what I've been wanting to go after. I think a lot of mothers miss the opportunity to go after their dreams, even when partnered in a household together. And Derek alluded to this earlier on, that it's important to choose your teammates wisely. You know what I mean? Because you can still be in a double parent household and it not be equal. And so I wanted to make sure that it wasn't coming across as like good cop versus bad cop. She's working a 9 to 5, he's working a 9 to 5, but she come home and still run the whole household by herself. And so we had talks like, okay, where's the balance here? Let's find that balance, make sure that's presented, because I think it's important for us to get out of that culture.
Right.
That culture is providing a bunch of stress that leads to disease, that leads to, all of these things that we're trying to elevate from. So, yeah, I think it's very important.
Yes, I love that. And, when we look at Chuck, it's so interesting because, of course, he was the phenom of his time. And, he's kind of gone to this place where he's the basketball dad now, but he's still encouraging his boys who are very motivated to become the next kind of great star. What do you think his motivation is for that? Instead of rather just being like, oh, basketball will eat you up and chew you out, don't do it, versus, okay, maybe it didn't work for me, but it might for you, kind of.
Yeah. From training as Chuck for just a little bit of time that I had, I took so much away besides the pain of getting my form right. It was like the importance of knowing who's on your team, choosing a partner, but it also, for being a married man and having a desire, and my mom, man, she trained me and my brothers on what probably my dad didn't do. And coming in a relationship, that's good, but that's not everything. And so what I realized, that there's a group or generation of men, and maybe there's a group and generation of women that want the partnership, but then there's also a generation of men that haven't been trained.
Right.
And because, in my heart, I come home and I'm like, I bring the bread. And consciously, I'm not thinking, well, I'm not being present or I'm not doing my part. But there's so many layers to partnership. And Kwame describes the brain, mama brain, kids, the heart, and dad, the soul. Well, if those are the ingredients to a song, you got to know how to put those things together. And that's what the crossover is about. How do you put those things together?
Yeah.
I absolutely love that. And I love not just that, but we have the celebration of love and the celebration of Black love, which I love seeing on screen. And you two are such a wonderful part of that. Thank you so much for taking time to talk with me today.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Excellent. So this show, it kind of came out of nowhere a little bit for me. And I was kind of expecting, oh, it's going to be a show about boys and basketball, two of my favorite things, but not really. But as I started watching, immediately when I heard Daveed Diggs, I knew that we were going to get some prose. I knew we were going to get some flow. But then we also got this wonderful family drama, this drama with so much heart and soul to it. I wanted to speak with you first, Kwame, because I know you're the author of the original book. What was your idea for kind of bringing this to TV?
Yeah, I mean, I grew up with a mom who was an educator. She had 4 kids, and somehow she managed to cook breakfast, lunch, and dinner, get us ready for school, still be a principal of a school, be a daughter and go check on her parents who lived nearby. She did all this every day. And I wonder how she did all that. When I started thinking about my childhood and my family and all the woes and the wonders and the horrors and the hopes, the tragedies and the triumphs, I realized that's Black people. That's Black America. We've figured out how to make a way out of no way and still went on about our day smiling, living, hoping, dreaming, dancing, eating, living just like everybody else. And so the goal was, how can I tell that story? How can I create that story on the page with the book? But then how can we do that on the screen in a way that is authentic and meaningful and significant and beautiful? And I think, working with Damani and Kimberly, we were hopefully able to pull that off.
And Kimberly, how did you or Jalyn get involved with the project? And what was something that you said, if we're going to tell the story, this is an element that I want to make sure is in it?
Much like how Kwame said, it was about the heart. Like, that's what we all agreed on, that, like, the heart, the hope, the inspirations, all the ingredients, that create the spine of the show. And so, coming on board, it was kind of a no-brainer. It's like, it's a time in which we need this. We need the representation. We need, it's a show I can sit and watch with my family, which I don't know when's the last time I was able to do that, but we all had the same wants and hopes for this series. And so I think when that's aligned, it's kind of like a no-brainer.
And for you, Damani, what was one thing that you felt that was important that you wanted to make sure came through in the telling of the story?
Yeah, the joy that's in the book. So much, I think, as Kim was alluding to, there's so much today that we watch that's built in trauma. And what we wanted to do was sort of tell this story about a Black family that's based around their joy and their love and their belief in one another. And of course, you're going to have drama and conflict and setbacks, but we wanted to focus on what comes after that.
Now, Kwame, what was the reason? Now, is it kind of semi-autobiographical? Is there a reason that basketball was kind of chosen as the sport of choice to kind of revolve this around?
Hey, look, the more I do these interviews, the more I realize maybe it is autobiographical. I didn't think it was, but my father was a basketball star in college and in the Air Force. And the way I discovered that, I was in his closet one day and saw a scrapbook. And in the scrapbook, there were pictures of him dunking the ball, newspaper articles. And his nickname was the Big Al. My father wasn't a very emotive person. Like, my mom used to say, "I love you" a lot. My dad, I knew he loved me, but he didn't really say those words. But the way I fell in love with my dad was by reading about him and learning about him through this thick scrapbook, reading articles about him and seeing all that. So I've completely forgotten the question, but that's my answer. Hopefully it worked.
It really does. It really kind of encapsulates the relationship that's shown is also it is inspirational. It's something that people can kind of strive for because the family dynamic within the show is so well done. It's so good, and it just kind of propels the narrative. So thank you guys so much for taking time to talk with me about it. I can't wait for more people to watch the crossover. It is truly a delight, truly a Black delight, and we love to see it.
Thank you.
Wonderful. Hello, everyone. I just recently started watching this show, and at first I'm just like, basketball. I don't, but it ended up being a show with a lot of heart, about friendship, about family, just so much going on. Now, Skyla, we start with you where, you're kind of the new kid in class and you kind of get put into an unintentional triangle, not of your making. Tell us about basically what to love about your character as she kind of comes in and breaks up the scene.
You can love how innocent she is. I mean, even though she's breaking stuff up, like she has no idea that she's breaking everything up. So I think just that like young, youthful innocence and that 8th grade innocent relationship too that she forms with JB is so great to see, because I don't think we see it that often, that these kids this young, having those intense and deep relationships.
Well, it's really funny because when we start, there's a little bit of a, she kind of knows that Maya likes Filthy. She's like, okay, well, I'm gonna back up, and then gets led to JB. The problem is that Filthy doesn't know this.
Right. So she's trying to be like, okay, great, I'm setting y'all go together, perfect. Then I'll go over here, but don't turn out the way she thought.
And Deja is the one who it's kind of unrequited. Tell us about kind of being back in that space, being back in that kind of high school mindset where it's just so big.
Yeah, it's definitely, the frustration is definitely there of like when we were back in high school, it was like, oh, so-and-so like so-and-so, so-and-so like so-and-so. And then it's like, oh, well, that's my friend, so I won't like them because, you like them. It's like, oh, okay, well, I kind of like them, so I'm going to go for it. But like, it's definitely that frustration. And people in middle school, high school who are watching this, they will understand it. And I'm super excited for them to see that.
And Trevor, I love that, it's like, these boys are such a big part of your life and such a big part of your friendship, but then there's also a little bit of awe to it where you're like, you do look up to them because they kind of have this talent. Talk to us about kind of being that supporting character in that role.
Yeah, no, they're definitely, they're my family. We don't live in the same house, but they're my family. And, they're star basketball players. And they're popular, and it's cool to be able to, learn from them and feed off of them, feed off their energy. And it just it's like an uplifting kind of feeling.
Was there anything, like, what was the best part of kind of doing the basketball scenes? Did you get to do any trash talking? Did you get to check anyone?
Yeah, no, we were mic'd up. I know they didn't leave most of the stuff we said. It was a lot of fun filming all the basketball scenes. Felt right at home for me. That was a lot of fun.
And Deja, I wanted to ask you about, she's kind of in charge of the news, and she's always kind of going around with her phone, which is so funny because, back in the day, it's like a notepad and pen and extra straight off the presses. I'm like, oh my God, kids. But tell me about her personality. Tell me about Maya's kind of outlook on life.
Yes, definitely. I definitely connect to that in a way because I'm always trying to record my family, because I think Maya, and personally, moments to remember are important. And especially I love that she's a journalist, because then we can see that her future is going to be bright with the boys because they want to be in basketball. So it's like, what better way to have a best friend journalist? And I think it's it's important because I think we'll be able to see in the series how she uses her journalism to kind of help out situations. And I think it's climate change too that she really wants to change.
Well, I am really excited for everyone to watch the show. You guys do a fantastic job and just created this amazing ensemble. So congratulations. Thank you so much for taking time to talk with me today.
Thank you for having us.
Better shake your booties for black girl nerves. Better shake your booties for black girl nerves.